Well, thanks, Carolyn, and welcome everybody. I hope you've had a good day and I hope you're ready to start a business. So let's talk a little bit about what this SBDC does in terms of services. We're really an enabler for you. What we do is no cost confidential consulting. We have over 20 offices in South Carolina. We help with business plans, financial, marketing, organizational, engineering, pretty much anything you need to start a business. So let's first talk about whether owning a business is the right choice for you. The things that are important to start a business are you a self-starter? Are you good at making decisions? Can you assume responsibility? Are you a good planner and organizer? And do you have energy and stamina? Starting a business is not a job, it's a lifestyle. And you need to understand that you will need the support of your family and others close to you in order to make this a successful venture. And at some point, it's a little bit like Texas Hold'em. You have to go all in, not necessarily at the beginning, but at some point in the future, you will need to go all in on your business. So let's first start with market research. What are the answers to these questions? Who is your customer? What are your products? Who is your competition? Are they local or you have national competition? And the business, is there currently a demand for that business? And then are you at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the life cycle of the business? Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad business, but you need to understand that when you're starting a business. I always think the first thing you should do is develop a marketing plan. And then you should also think about what is your purpose? What is your why? Why are you in business? What is it you really want to do with your business? And what are the products you're selling? Another key thing is your pricing strategy. You never want to be the low cost provider of your product, because that somewhat will cheapen you in the eyes of the consumer. And what is your selling strategy? How will you find your customers and how will your customers find you? Who are your suppliers going to be and what kind of arrangements you can make with those suppliers? Are you going to be an online business, a storefront, or a service business? Now the fun part. How will you fund your company? You can do it through equity, debt, or credit. Equity is your money that you put in, money from family and friends, loans, etc. Debt is borrowed money. Many banks will not loan to a startup business, but if you talk to us, we can help you in that area. You should not count on getting any grants. And then your credit is key to how much money you can receive and what type of loan you can get. So let's talk a little bit about credit. Your personal credit will be the number one thing because since you're a startup business, you have no business credit, there's no business history. So it's strictly or very important for your personal credit to be good. You need to have a decent credit score, usually above 650, close to 700. There's ways to get that credit score, but I get mine for free from my bank and from my credit card. So usually there's a free way to get your credit score. So let's talk about the 5 C's of credit. Again, you need to put some capital equity into the business. It's called skin in the game, and banks require that. And then what's your cash flow going to be? It's very important that you determine the cash flow of your business, because you need to make sure the business can repay the loan. The other thing that's important is if you have some collateral that you can use, that's always a good thing for the business. And sometimes there are certain terms that can be placed on a loan to help the banks assure repayment. Banks are not altruistic. All they want is they want to loan you the money, but they want to make sure they get paid. And that's some of that is the confidence the lender will have in you as a person and your business. So now let's switch to business structure. What kind of business is the best business for you? Sole proprietor, limited liability company or partnership, or corporations, either an S Corp or a C Corp. And we do not recommend sole proprietor because you are not protected in any way against liability. If someone decides to sue you, they will go after all of your assets, your personal assets. You are somewhat protected in an LLC and corporations. The other thing about a corporation is usually you're going to need an attorney to help with the corporation. The other thing is to consider what your business name is going to be. Now, I don't make this a big deal, or I don't think this is a big deal, because who would have named a computer company Apple? But if you have a name that kind of identifies you or gives an interest twist to your business, then that can be beneficial. You can go to the SOS, the Secretary of State.sc.gov website to see if the name is available. And that's the same website you'll go to register your business. And then you can see if there's any trademarks available at that .gov website. You may want to kind of play around with the name, see if it works on the web. Double check to see if your URL is available. And then, like I said, you can register your business name with the South Carolina Secretary of State.
Bob, if I could interject a quick question.
Sure.
We have someone asking, why do you need an attorney for developing a corporation? Is that not because of partnership agreements and things of that nature?
Yeah, partnership agreements. The other thing is sometimes if you're selling stock in the business, then you need to have a special type of document. So just to make sure that all the documents are in a legal form is the reason you need to do that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about some more of the startup tasks. Now, there's a great website to go to called scbos.sc.gov. It takes you through the 9 steps to start your business. Once you get your LLC, then you'll need your tax ID number, which is called an EIN. You get this from irs.gov, and this is free. To register your LLC, it usually costs about $140. But your EIN is free if you go to the irs.gov website. There are some companies out there that want to charge you for getting an EIN for you. Just don't go to those websites. I think one of them's at an irs.com instead of irs.gov. Then once you have your EIN and your LLC, then you can open a business checking account. And it's always good to get a business debit card. And I even like getting a business credit card, because the business credit card will keep track of all of your expenses. And that makes bookkeeping easier for you. And it also helps you establish credit. More things to do. Make sure you have make sure that you have the right licenses. Most or many cities and counties require a business license. If you're selling anything, you'll need a sales tax license. If you're doing anything with food, then you'll need to go through DHEC to get certified. Some businesses require professional licenses. So just make sure that whatever your business is, that you get the proper licensing. So what's the game plan? If you plan to operate the business from your home or online or in a small retail store, and if you plan to finance it entirely on your own, then you don't need a full-blown business plan. But I always recommend that you develop a marketing plan and a cash flow plan. The marketing plan makes you put down on paper what your business is and how you plan to talk to customers and how you plan to interface with customers. So I always think a marketing plan is a good thing to have, and at least have a cash flow plan to manage your finances. That's very important. And then if you're a larger startup enterprise and you need a lot of funding, then you're going to need to have a pretty robust business plan. Could be over 50 pages. I've worked with some that are as many as 80. Don't recommend that, but sometimes that's what you need to do. But it really depends on what type of a loan that you're trying to develop or trying to get. Organizing your thoughts. The other thing I think everybody should do is when you come up with an idea, just write it down. It doesn't have to fit some flow in the business plan, and have a pad of paper by your bed. So sometimes in the middle of the night, you get this epiphany and you need to write it down or you'll forget it. So have that available and just start capturing things, things you find in the newspapers, or probably don't find anything in newspapers anymore, but things you'll find online on the web. And so it's always important to try to capture as much of that information as you can. So let's talk about the sole owner business plan. Remember, it's just you. There's nobody else. You do everything. You can decide whether to work or you can decide not to work. The problem is when you don't work, you don't get paid because you're basically everything in the business. And again, that's why at this point in your life, it becomes a lifestyle. Everything revolves around the business if you want to be successful. You need to think about gaps you personally have. Like maybe you're not very good in financing, which is not unusual at all. In that case, you'll probably want to get some help from a bookkeeper or through your CPA or your accountant. But that's very important that you fill all your talent gaps that you have, and you need to understand which gaps you do have as well. And then align yourself with key people and organizations, and you can leverage us, the SBDC, as part of that. Back to the attorney question. And again, if you're going to be a S or C corporation, then you will need to get an attorney. You're going to need to have a subscription agreements. If you're going to sell stock, you need them to review any contracts, leases, purchasing real estate, partnership agreements. All of that needs to be done through an attorney. And again, if you go to the scbos.sc.gov, it kind of helps you walk through some of the requirements. Let's go back and talk a little bit about borrowing money. Now, the bank, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to want to see skin in the game. So for a startup business, the bank's going to look for somewhere maybe 15-25% of the loan you're going to need to put into it. So if you want to get a $100,000 loan, you're going to need to have around $20,000 in order to secure that loan. And then they're going to want to know how they're going to get repaid. Sometimes a guarantor is required. Sometimes you have enough collateral. If you have another source of income that would repay the loan, then that can work as well. And that's why they want to look at your personal financial statements for the last 2 or 3 years and your personal tax return. And that's for each owner. And the owner is someone that has more than 20% of the business. So anyone that has 20% or more of the business, they're going to want to see their personal financial returns and financial statements. And then the thing that we can help you with is your business plan and the projected finances from that business plan. And they usually want at least 3 years of a projected financial statement. Going back, the business owner should be responsible for reviewing the books. Even if you're not the bookkeeper, you need to make sure that the bookkeeper is on task and is doing the right by you. So the bookkeeper can do, if you don't keep the books, then like I said, you need a bookkeeper. I always start, in fact, I run my business, last 2 businesses with Excel spreadsheets. So depending on the type of business you have, you may or may not need something as complicated as QuickBooks, although I have used QuickBooks too, and I like QuickBooks a lot. So it really depends on your business. And for example, if you're selling a lot of products, then it's tough to manage that business with an Excel spreadsheet. But if you decide to hire employees, and I would recommend that you don't hire anyone as long as you can legally and business-wise keep from hiring someone. Hire them as contractors, but not as full employees, because there's a lot of additional requirements, and you have to pay payroll taxes as well. So if you can avoid hiring employees, at least initially, I always think that's a plus. Then you will need to report your sales tax. And this is either monthly or quarterly, depending on your business. And not just report it, but actually sending them the receipts as well. And then if you're a retail business, you may also want to set up other types of things, such as a PayPal account, etc., for like online sales, those types of things. And you should at least once a year use a CPA for your taxes. So that's about it for now. I know that was pretty quick, but do you have any questions that you would like that we can help you with?
Well, Bob, I am looking through now We don't have any immediate questions. You might want to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about the briefly about the elements of a business plan and how important that is when seeking a loan for a business.
What will happen is when you seek a loan for a business, the bank will give you a package, and they'll have certain things in that package that they're going to want to see. And most of them boil around the marketing plan that I mentioned earlier, where they're going to want to know what your product is, who the customers are going to be, what's your competition, what's your pricing strategy. And they're going to want to see financial statements and projections on your business. And those are the areas where we can help you in developing the business plan. But each bank will sometimes have a little different spin on exactly what they want to have. So you really need to go to the bank and get exactly what they want in order for you to go for a loan. But the things I mentioned, almost every bank wants, and some banks want additional information as well. Did that answer the question?
Well, I think that was very helpful. Jasmine, yes, we will be sending out a, oh, I'm sorry, Jasmine, you had another question, but we will be sending out the presentation slides and a link to this recording to those individuals who respond to the post-event survey. And then Jasmine Carter, thank you. Is there a Zoom for creating a business plan? Well, we have an upcoming business plan webinar. I do believe it is full, but towards the end of this presentation, I will show you how to get to previously recorded links. And some of those are about business plans. But what I strongly suggest is that you reach out to your local small business development center office, because part of what we do, and a large part of what we do, is assist individuals in the development of their business plan. So what you cannot get from a Zoom or a webinar, you would certainly get one-on-one confidential, no-fee services to create that business plan. Let's see, here's another one. Could you say a little more about using Excel for bookkeeping and how you establish that? Keisha, that's another one that cash flow management is something that we do have posted webinars on, and we can send you a template for cash flow management. But again, you would be best served by reaching out to your local SBDC and allowing the business consultant to work with you one-on-one to see what is the best fit for your business. Would you agree, Bob?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the best way to do it, is to work with one of the consultants, and they'll help you with your cash flow plan.
So we do have another question, and this is a great question, and we hear this all the time here in Charleston, and I'm sure you do as well, Bob, in Columbia. How can you get business credit if you have bad personal credit? Is there any way around it? And the immediate answer is no. Is that correct?
That is correct. My understanding from banks is that it takes 2 to 3 years to establish business credit. And I have not heard of any way to get around that yet. So if your personal credit is poor, then it's going to be tough for you to get a loan unless you have some huge collateral that you can put down to back up the loan.
Now, if this business is incredibly small and you don't need a loan, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, if you were to open a bank account in the business name and have a tax ID number or EIN, TIN, whatever, and you pay your bills on an appropriate time frame, and say you have a small credit card in the name of the business, Could that possibly be a method to build credit for the business?
Well, that is the best way to build the credit. But again, they want to see usually 2 years of that to be sure that you're going to pay your bills on time. But that is a great way to build business credit.
So I'm hoping that that may have answered your question. Let's see. So someone put in here that you can Google business plan and find lots of templates. And thank you for your input. But yes, you can. But I am telling you right now that all of those templates that you find are not things that are accepted by lending institutions and banks. Many of those templates are more confusing than they are helpful. And again, I would strongly suggest that you reach out to your local business consultant in your local SBDC office, and they can provide a template. And the other wonderful thing is, and I know we do it in Columbia, and I know we do it in Charleston, that business plan is a overwhelming thing. And so the consultant can break it down and say, do this piece, this piece, this piece, let's review it, instead of someone jumping in and trying to create a business plan all by themselves. So, you know, our services are no fee. So please take advantage of what is out here for you. Let's see.
And like I said earlier, a business plan can be 5 pages or 50 pages, and it depends on the type of loan you're getting and your bank, your lending institution. So that's why it's very important that you would work with someone at the SBDC to help guide you in that area.
So here's one. Well, options to get a loan if you have very good credit, little debt, but low dollars on financial statement. So that I'm assuming that that means that a low owner injection.
There's always a trade-off with banks, and some banks will go as low as, I've heard some go as low as 5%, but they all want something, and sometimes it can be just collateral. If you have something that you can use for collateral, sometimes that's good enough too. But banks want to see something that you've put into the business.
So I got a message sent directly to me. My wife and I are opening a private medical practice. I have secured the lease and EIN and LLC. I am working, getting phone, internet, waiting on state medical board. What other steps should I take? That list could be lengthy, particularly since it's a medical practice, because you're talking about insurance and HIPAA laws and all those other things. I would reach out to your local SBDC office because we have many consultants that have worked opening medical practices, dental practices, veterinary practices that have certain guidelines. But I would reach out to your local SBDC office, and if you don't know who that is, if you would like to reach out to me and tell me where you are located, I can recommend someone. So here is, this is a general question, so I'm not really sure. Anything you would suggest for service industry? Keisha, I'm not really sure what you're asking there, love. Someone did ask, do you have a webinar on understanding and building credit? I'm not aware that we do. Bob, are you?
I'm not aware either. Sometimes you can go to your bank and they have people there that can actually help you build credit, tell you the things you need to do to build credit. But I'm not aware of any webinars that out there.
Okay. I'm sorry, someone came to the door, Bob.
No problem.
Let's see. Is there a minimum age for opening an LLC business?
Not that I am aware, there probably is, but I worked with someone that was 19.
Well, and I think that a lot of that too runs with labor laws,
Probably
if I'm
is-
not mistaken.
You're probably right. So 18 would probably be the threshold for that.
So here's a good question, and Robert, you can chime in on this one as well if you haven't already answered it. Do you still need a business license or permit to open an online business?
Yes. Is my understanding, yes. It depends on your location. If your online business is at your home, you're going to need whatever that city or county requires for wherever your location is. Is that what you understand, Robert?
Yeah.
And also remember, and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, is you still have to charge sales tax, do you not?
That depends. Depends on where it's sold to. And that's a real complicated thing. So I don't feel like I can really answer that question very well.
So that would,
I would talk to the Department of Revenue.
It's the website's my DORWAY, my doorway.
Yes. Yes.
so I'm having trouble getting customers. I have a business Facebook account. Where do I post my home decor wood signs? We have some great recorded webinars, and I'll show you how to get to those. That's called Marketing 101. And part of what we do at the Small Business Development Center, I know we specifically do it here down in Charleston, but we have, and Robert Jones is on the call, he does a lot of work with social media and reviewing your website, search engine optimization and things of that nature. So there's, Robert, you find good things with Facebook and Instagram, is it? But you have to post often.
Yes, typically you want to post on a schedule so your clients know when to expect your posts. But check with your local SBDC office and they should be able to help you with marketing.
So another question, Bob, you mentioned several tips for the retail industry. So I wonder if there was some more he could say for someone that is going into a consulting or a counseling field. So I'm not sure what the question is, but I'm guessing it's very similar, the development of a business plan and projections, developing the business in a similar way. Bob, any thoughts on that?
I've worked with several people in that area. And so it kind of depends on the business, but I always think that the hardest part for that type of business is where are you going to get your customers? But if you need funding, then you're going to need to do the same type of things we were just talking about in terms of a business plan. But if it's more of a marketing issue, then we can help you with that too and kind of give you some guidance.
And there's a question about business licensing. So South Carolina is very odd because there's not one overall state business license. Charleston and the Tri-County area is even more convoluted than others. But the business consultant in your area will be able to give you the contact information for business licensing. This one is specifically Eastover and Richland County. So Bob, do you know if the townships require a business license Or
For the
is it
townships,
countywide? Yes. How does that work for Eastover?
I believe, I doubt if Eastover requires a business license, but Richland County does. So you just go to the county website and get the information. Or if you have questions about that, you can contact me and I can help you.
And then Destiny asked, can you explain charge sales? So I'm assuming that means sales tax. The
Or is it credit cards?
yeah, so charges. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that.
A lot of, if you accept credit cards, then you're going to want a point of sale terminal. And a lot of people use Square because it's simple, and Square will deposit the money into your checking account immediately. If you do online sales, though, a lot of people use PayPal. So it really depends on the type of business you're dealing with.
And you also have to be very aware of the charges that Square and the SumUp and all of these people are charging you.
Yeah, Square charges usually between 2.5% and 3%.
So here's one. My daughter is 17. So would the best way to proceed be through putting the business in my name? Her mother.
When does she turn 18?
I don't know.
Oh, I know. You're supposed to know that,
I
Caroline.
know. My crystal ball is cloudy.
Do it that way and put it. But if she's close to 18, you might just want to wait because there's other things you have to do ahead of time anyway. So we can get everything ready, and then when she's 18, she can be off and running.
And Andy, thank you so much for some of your input. We at the SBDC, we will comfortably tell you that we're not attorneys, we're not tax attorneys, and we're not CPAs. So some of the detailed information that Andy is sharing with you, we cannot get that detailed in giving that advice because of liability reasons. So we can't tell you exactly what sales tax is. Yes, sales tax varies throughout the state, throughout a city, a county, but all of this can be easily researched on South Carolina Department of Revenue. So Christy said that her daughter just turned 17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then if you want to get the business started, I believe you would need to, the mother would have to go ahead and register the business.
And Andy, it sounds like you need to come work for us with all of the answering of questions you're providing. So, but yes, you could certainly do a partnership agreement on the business, but partnership and ownership agreements need to be not guaranteed by an attorney, but make sure that everything is legally correct. So that is another way to look at it. So it's, does anyone have any other questions? So I'm going to go ahead and share with you, Bob, if you wouldn't mind, stop sharing your screen. I'm going to show everyone so if you can see my screen, this is our state website. So this is SC SBDC.com, standing for South Carolina Small Business Development Centers. If you go to the training event header, you will see all of the upcoming trainings. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, these are all of our recorded events. So people that were talking about marketing, there's Marketing 101. People that are thinking about a business loan, how to apply for a business loan. So there's a lot of information. e-commerce, finding the right technology. All of these are free for you to view at your leisure. The other thing that I would strongly recommend is to go to this site and see where your local office is. So you would go to the locations header. Here you have a map and you click wherever you're closest. I'm of course located in the Charleston area. Bob is in the Sumter area. But these are all the primary offices, and then we also have satellite offices. But we do cover the entire state and all of the counties. So we have a few more things in the chat. Again, Andy is providing all kinds of information, so thank you for that. And Andy, if you want to do a presentation for us, please reach out to me. Bob said we could find the link for the 9 steps. I can't remember. What were you referring to, the 9 steps? And I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, the 9 steps is on website is scbos.sc.gov. It stands for South Carolina Business One Stop .southcarolina.gov. So that's the one to go to. I could pull it up if you want me to.
Sure.
So this is the website, scbos.sc.gov. And if you go down to starting a business, here's the 9-step guide. And it kind of walks you through everything you need to do to start a business, including insurance, which is one of the things we didn't cover. But liability insurance and business insurance is usually a very important thing that you need to do to get.
And many of people ask about insurance and things of that nature. I know we have this in the Charleston office, and I'm assuming that they have them in other offices throughout the state. We have what we refer to as a resource list. So we have a list of attorneys, a list of marketing firms, accounting firms, and CPAs and insurance providers that our clients have had positive experiences with. So we can't, recommend one over another. We don't have the details of the fees that they charge, but we're just giving you a resource list so you can call 2 or 3 and see what is a good fit for you. And again, Andy, you provided some information that Robert Jones provided for that website. So are there any other questions or any other information we can provide to anyone? Well, with no more questions, I just want to remind everyone that we will be sending a post-event survey this afternoon. And those that respond to the post-event survey will receive the presentation slides as well as the recording to this event. We will more than likely distribute that Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Please visit the South Carolina Small Business Development Center site to review previously recorded events as well as upcoming events and find your local office. Thank you everyone for joining us. And Bob, is there anything you would like to share in closing?
I'd just like to say thanks for listening. And if you have any other questions, either funnel them through Carolyn, or you can send them to me directly, and I'd be happy to answer them.
And Destiny, we've not sent the survey out yet. The survey goes out after the event closes, so you will probably receive it in about 30 minutes to an hour. And if you did not receive a survey from a previously attended event, then I would check with the office that sponsored that, because I know here, the ones that we sponsor out of the USC region are generally hosted by myself and Robert Jones. And we're very, very good about sending out the post-event surveys to those people that have confirmed their attendance. So thank you, everyone. And we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Have a
afternoon.
great day.